We are in mid-January already of 2025, and historically, every 4 years, crypto has gone absolutely berserk. 2021, that was the case. In 2017, that was the case. And in 2013. So is that 4-year pattern going to hold? Well, it's looking like it's going to. With Bitcoin going to roughly 100,000, some of the alts, especially the larger cap alts, taking off like XRP and a lot of the ISO coins, and even a few narratives within the crypto space running, but a lot of it hasn't hit yet. And some people are getting worried that some of these other narratives will never hit. Is that the case? Well, we'll talk about it. And today I'm joined by my compadre, Randy. What's going on, Randy?
Well, hello. How are y'all doing today? Everyone say Harodashi. Harodashi. We have I saw your stream with Paul today, and it was seems how quickly things change. Where last week you were kind of a little bit more, I think, cautious on Devi, and then this week you're like, it's a certain buy, and then. This week, I know Paul had rated it a cautious buy, and then you had rated Omi like one of your favorite things that you had. It's up about 1.5% on the day. It's been very low volume, less than 500,000 on the day, and it's been like that for a couple of weeks. I know obviously you have people that don't pay attention to any news at all. They take a look at the charts and see when certain gaps are being filled and when certain things are going down based on 30, 50-day moving averages. But then you have just random announcements. So they've had one recently for VeVe, and this is what I kind of want to talk to you about just to kick it off. Last time we had people go into VeVe because they found the Omi token. Like I did, like a lot of people did. And a lot of people are saying, well, why don't they just market the token? It worked last time, it should work this time. And maybe they're correct. But ever since we have the Galactus drop announcement saying that, hey, it's part of the Evolvables one. So like normal, you're going to be able to go in and burn your common for the uncommon for the rare, etc. But now they're saying for the ultra rare and secret rare, you're going to have to buy a Silver Surfer and then burn that as well for the ultra rare and the secret rare. So for the first time, a VeVe drop will happen, and there will be less collectibles when it's done than from before it started, because you're going to have to not only burn the other ones, you burn the Silver Surfer as well. And my question is, do you think that it could be different than last time and people discover the token through VeVe because they're being super innovative, and because of that? Or do you think it'll be, hey, what are you guys doing? Focus on the token and VeVe will grow?
I think a lot of people will come to Omi through VeVe, but some people will just see massive green candles with Omi and they'll just go for Omi. So last time Omi led, and that's what attracted a lot of people to VeVe. I wasn't aware the VeVe app had launched, and I saw Ecomi going crazy, their Omi token. And so I was doing some research on them and found out they had a VeVe app, or at the time I thought it was VeVe app. I did look for YouTube videos to see. I did not find a single YouTube video. Apparently there was one before the video that I did about it, but I never saw it. I was trying to get research on it because I didn't even pronounce VeVe right at the time. I just pronounced it Vive because I'd just seen it in written form and thought it was really special. They had this Batman black and white. This was going to be a big deal. The first Batman on the blockchain, and it went 200x from there. From that point of March of 2021 till January 2022, it went 200x from $80 to 16,000.
When that happened, but that didn't happen at first. They had launched the app, they had launched Batman, and they had launched, I think, a couple of things, a couple drops afterwards. Obviously, it wasn't immediately. Back in the day, you had to wait a couple weeks for each new drop. I think at that time, you might have had to wait a month for the new one. Mm-hmm. And people were a little disappointed that some things were happening. The app finally came out. They weren't lying about anything because there was some speculation in that Telegram chat that said, like, do they really have this? Is this really going to happen? Been talking about it for a while. And then they launched it, and it was like, okay. and then things went nuts. So there was that delay of a couple of months between the app launch and things going crazy.
A number of months. Like they launched in like October 2020 or something, right? Maybe November 2020. And the price of Omi that day seemed to have spiked up a lot, and then it came right back down, and Omi token got punished for months, leading a lot of people with Omi to go ahead and just like give up. Oh, the app is out and Bitcoin's running, and I'm going to sell all my Omi for Bitcoin because Bitcoin's way up. And then they missed out on like a 3,000x that did over from February to March.
Yeah. So the 5th year anniversary, we'll get back to this second, but a little side quest here. The 5th year anniversary is going to be for October, because that is when they launched. They will be celebrating that at October Comic-Con.
Nice.
What would you like to see there? I mean, each year tends to be a bit bigger than the year previous, but how would you like them to go above and beyond for their 5th anniversary?
I'd love for them to fly out Gal Gadot for
Wonder Woman.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great. It'd be great if we could get that and say, like, if you're above a certain so that's something they've kind of gamified with. Was saying you need to have a certain amount of MCP points to get like the Banksy drops, or you have to go and have a certain level in order to craft certain things. They've done it a bit with the gold and silver VeVe logo, but they haven't done that at real life events with your VeVe level. And you're at level like 60 something, 70 something.
Yeah.
I feel
like 70 or something.
Yeah, so you're beating me. I'm at 68, so close to 69. And I would like it if they said like, hey, everyone that has kind of what they did last year, or I guess 2 years ago now, last year, if you have this red ticket or gold ticket that you get on the drop, whatever, you'll get in no matter what at a certain time. You might have to wait till 9:30, 10:30, but you'll get in, and just kind of have that be open to everybody. But then have this kind of like VIP section for levels, maybe like if you're like a master collector, or if you're level maybe like 50 and above. 50, I don't know if 50 is really that hard to get anymore. Maybe like 70 and above, 80 and above, something like that. Because this way it kind of rewards people that are on the app. And then so you'll have the VeVe party, you'll have the gold logo party with Sanjay, and then you'll have the Ecomi party as well. I missed the Ecomi party last time because I didn't know what was happening. And then they did it after I'd already had plans. Like, damn. But this year, it's all. I'm all there for everyone. If outside of like a Gal Gadot, is there anything that you would like to see as far as activities? I know in the city, like you have axe throwing. You have like, it could be like at a hotel where they have like a pool on the balcony. Those things kind of scare me. I don't think I'd do that, but I think
I'd love for them to do some drops to people that show up. That'd be awesome, that are there like celebrating with them, and to also do a drop for everyone who already has an account on the app, just to reward people that participated in their first 5 years. I'd love to see something like that. And it's been a fun ride. Like the VeVe app is really, really cool, and it's been a fun experience, and they're doing cool things. And I like digital collectibles because I don't like filling up rooms of storage or physical storage. I moved some of my physical collectibles so many times, and I got rid of some after moving them so many times because it was just such a pain.
Great.
But my physical stuff, it has to be moved, but my digital stuff doesn't. It's so much easier.
That's true. Before I get to the next subject here, shout out to everybody in the comments. Shout out to y'all for being here. May the rains come. That Mikey is doing a play on Hillary Duff saying, "May the rains come down and carry me to the rental prop." All right, anyway, there is a man over on the Facebook called Justin Dice saying, "This might be an unpopular opinion, but I think VeVe needs to make drops a bit more simpler. All these timing constraints might as well be understood by existing customers, but imagine being a first-time customer and being confounded by wait lists, purchase pause periods, selling pause periods, and saying they need to do a better job of showcasing the drops. You have this on one side of the aisle, and then on the other side of the aisle, you have people say VeVe is continuously innovating on how to craft and how to build with MCP points, with giving utility retroactively to other stuff that didn't have utility before, like Silver Surfer now. And in that way, they will find the right combination of greatness. Which side do you find has more validity? You think it's a little too confusing for people, or is it awesome?
It is a little bit confusing, but remember why there are wait lists to begin with is because of bots. Now, there is no problem with bots on the drops where there's more drops than people want to buy. But the super, like, as the market heats up, there's a chance that the bots come back because getting the drop has so much value. And if you remember, there were months where you couldn't get a single drop because bots can click the buy button faster than you can. And so you didn't get anything, and then you had to buy them on the secondary market. So the wait list is like a necessary thing. And yes, it's confusing. And then the sell period wait and the buy period wait, it's all confusing, but probably necessary. They were all put in place to solve some problems that are real problems, and probably the best solution to solving the bot problem. I'd like to see the wait list continue from the standpoint of, I remember the bot problem, and it was frustrating not being able to get bots because some people knew how to program apps that could then scoop them all up, and then they would turn around and resell it for a 10x or 20x or 30x profit to you, but you really didn't have a chance to get it at that buy price. Didn't love that.
I feel you. There's so I guess we'll stay with this for now. There is what's up, Stephen Duarte? Love that man. Love that man. It seems that you said as the market's heating up, every now and then I see little embers here. You have people saying NFTs are back because the amount of volume that's going into Pudgy Penguins and Bored Ape Yacht Club. Like, yes, the prices are up, but the prices aren't up because people are just delisting. The volume is increasing on these at a massive rate. It's like 300 plus million each week that are transacted in NFTs. And then you have people like Travis Wright, who'll be on the podcast. He brought it up in a Mario Novel space the other day, just talking about VeVe and Ecomi. And a couple 100,000 people were listening to that space. So it seems that, and I was able to talk about it in a space yesterday with Jenny Kuta, founder of Tetherball. And it just seems that people are slowly getting it. And because people are kind of withdrawing from some of their AI tokens because some people are impatient. There are some scams that were like Mammoth AI out there. Now, many of them are putting it back into memes, but a lot of people are putting it into NFTs as well, which is kind of the next step, I feel like, from memes. What are the odds you think that NFTs are the next thing that runs?
Good question. It seems to be heating up some, right? So I don't know how it's going to play out this time. Like, what's interesting is this AI narrative. So many people want to invest in the AI narrative, but a lot of these crypto projects that have AI in their name, they're bullshit. They're junk. They hired some college graduates with degrees in AI, and they threw together a white paper and, oh, we're an AI project and we're going to do all this. And they're not going to do any of that. They're going to raise $3 to $50 million, and that is their plan, is to then live off of those funds and invest in crypto themselves with those funds that they got from everyone else, and spend a little bit to try to show that they did something, but they don't have a plan. Like, that is their plan, is to raise a bunch of funds. And you see that in the crypto space every time. So like meme coin, same thing, right? Anyone can launch a meme coin. It costs almost nothing, and you throw together a white paper and you throw together this, and a few of them go absolutely crazy, but they're like playing musical chairs. So there are a lot of people that come into crypto and play those, and like, it's hot until all of a sudden it's not, and they all go, they get punished severely, with just a few having done well and thousands and tens of thousands of them having been crap. And so I don't play those games, but you will see that money rotate into other things. I just don't know what it's going to rotate into. maybe NFTs. You see some of the NFT projects coming back. And remember, digital collectibles didn't run at the same time as NFTs did last time. And I imagine they won't this time. Like the NFTs peaked in October 2021 and VeVe peaked in January 2022. So that money did flow into VeVe collectibles. We'll see how it plays out this time.
That's true. So I know I'll try to make this like a video game reference for things that people can understand. Like, let's say like Pac-Man, when you get the big giant white pill that turns Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Sue from things that they can eat you, and suddenly they turn blue, and then you could eat them. It's kind of a waste to eat that giant white pill when they're on the other side of the map, and you can maybe get like one or two of them.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to wait until they get really close. You eat that blue pill, and then you can eat them all right away. You get massive points for that. We know that behind the scenes, Ben is hiring a bunch of people for marketing. We had met the guy that is doing the affiliate marketing program. He's from Twitch, I believe. That was his last venture. And they're putting all these pieces into place to potentially start rolling stuff out this quarter, and most likely aggressively rolling out in Q2. Do you think that might be a mistake if the narrative doesn't hit until Q3 or Q4, and all this marketing that they might do with affiliates might be wasted? Or do you think on the opposite end, they could kickstart it, and this way we actually start the narrative because of what we're doing?
Well, the affiliate marketing, they just pay a percentage of the gain. So if all of a sudden you have these big YouTubers start talking about VeVe, that their audience is unfamiliar with VeVe, it might take a little bit to catch on. But the amount of expense that they're spending directly to do that, VeVe, is not much. They're just paying a percentage of the inflow that happens into the app. And so what's really the cost? So I like that plan a lot because it will get traction for VeVe, whether or not the digital collectibles narrative is happening, and maybe kicks off the digital collectibles narrative. It's a way where sometimes when you spend money on marketing, it's somewhat arbitrary. Okay, we're going to do these really good commercials, and we're going to spend $2 million on commercials, and you don't know the effectiveness. Like, you can try to do test samples of commercials and the effectiveness, but is that going to lead to a lot of people buying your product? You just don't know. Where when it's affiliate marketing, it's the influencers themselves that are trying to be very good at getting you to use the app, because they only make money if you use the app. So it's a better use of marketing dollars. I like that idea. Yeah, I do think it'll catch on, and that is some people make some good money with it that have really, really big YouTube channels. We're not talking about crypto people. We're talking about people with 5 million, 10 million YouTube viewers, and they start making some good money. Then they're going to tell their friends because they know other YouTubers that are even bigger. And then it snowballs, right? And then everybody's talking about VeVe. I think it's going to lead to some really big things.
Yeah. And I think, I forget what it is, like 6 or 8 times that people kind of have to be touched or reminded or see or hear about something.
Yeah.
Perfect example, last year, I had heard ads about the Barbie movie. I don't know, or maybe that was 2023. I'd heard ads about the Barbie movie like 16 times, or I was like, all right, fine. I'm getting it from ever. I'll go see it. And it was pretty good. Not gonna lie.
It was good.
I was excited about it.
I'm so glad they put Margot Robbie in it, or if that's how you say her name.
Margot Robbie. Yeah.
Robbie versus the other person they were considering. Some are like, oh, Margot Robbie is too old. And it's like, no.
Who's the other person they were considering? Sydney Sweeney?
No, some girl who's heavier. It's one of the comics that's like probably got an extra 50 pounds on her that she'd probably benefit from not having. That wouldn't fit. Yeah, and she said Barbie wasn't woke enough, is why she turned it down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, so okay. Jesus.
That would have been a disaster for the movie. It wouldn't have done well at all.
Yeah, no one would have gone to see that.
Unless Barbie who's not even cute, because the gal isn't even cute. I'm like,
unless it went like such a weird direction where it was like one of those like epic movies. You remember where there's like 2 out of the 6 writers of Scary Movie, and it was like kind of like a spoof, and it was like a comedy. If it would have been that, then it still might have been funny if they went a different direction.
Yeah, they would have had to really nail it, right? But I don't even think that comic is all that funny. Like, she's all right. She's an all right actress.
Oh, Amy
The
Schumer?
Barbie movie, I don't see how that would have been good. Maybe they would have done the dialogue and the whole writing completely different. Maybe. And maybe it could have been good to make
What
sense.
was it, Amy Schumer?
She's not pretty, so.
Yeah, I love Amy Schumer in Trainwreck. Granted, a lot of that was
It was Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you imagine Amy Schumer as Barbie? Like,
not the Barbie that we all kind of know.
Justin says it, go woke, go broke.
Yeah.
That would have been a disaster, especially if they tried to make it more woke in order to fit her agenda. I thought overall it was actually really good, and the little message was really kind of funny and good.
I could picture Amy Schumer playing a Barbie that had gotten kidnapped and been a prisoner, and they forced drugs on her for like years, and she's like kind of this messed up Barbie now, and she's just, has got a little something wrong with her now, and then I could picture something like that and make it like a Tank Girl type of movie.
Will you guys be deported? You think? Yes, Canada will deport me.
I hope not. I mean, I speak English fairly well. I believe I'm a citizen. I fought for this country. I should be fine.
So if Trudeau had stayed in, Trudeau and Kamala, they would have hunted me down. They're like, you keep saying things we don't like. You're out of here.
So speaking of foreign places, we have VeVe representative Joseph Parker, who had won his last fight while donning VeVe on his robe and his shorts. I'd made a nice short for us on Instagram. Is going over and fighting for the world heavyweight title against a guy named Dubois on February 22nd in Saudi Arabia. And maybe that's what people need. Maybe people need to, they hear it from people on YouTube, they hear it from people on X and Spaces. And then if they see like one of the greatest fighters in the world that's legit about to hopefully become champion, and VeVe's on his shorts and VeVe's on like his Instagram reels, I feel like that eventually one of those touches kind of have to hit, in my opinion.
I think there won't be much traction just from him having it on his shorts, but it starts the awareness thing. When they see it, they'll be like, I don't even know what that is. But then when they see some YouTubers talking about it, that's one of those important touches that it does add to the overall.
They have a TikTok right now. VeVe does. I don't know if they have followed the trend of people going to Red Note. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
So the people are understandably shook that TikTok, the Biden administration was supposed to ban TikTok on like the 19th and 20th, something like that. And then Trump says he's not going to ban it. He likes TikTok. He's fine with it. I think that's part of what helped him win. But the reaction to this, people are going to this place called Red Note. And everything's in Chinese, like everything's in Mandarin. There is nothing in English. So people are agreeing to terms and conditions that they have no idea what they're agreeing to. They're posting things and hitting buttons on like a hope and a prayer because you don't know what you're liking, you don't know what you're sharing, you don't know what anything's going on. Like there's no subtitles. And I feel like because of this, there's an opportunity for VeVe, especially with David, like some of the people that work at VeVe, they speak Mandarin. They could go in and say like, hey, Americans, we're over on Red Note now. Like 100 million people have gone there so far for advertising. I just spitballing ideas here. K Collections, KC was started doing some giveaways. I'll start doing some giveaways. I'm going to have one on Saturday, just to help with the LA fires. We'll do some giveaways, do some auctions and stuff. Is there anything that VeVe could do that's relatively free? Like obviously not paying for a commercial, but having someone do something on TikTok or Red Note or any of these things outside of the affiliates?
Free? Well, outside of the
affiliates?
marketing that they could do for free. Just
so
interviews, right?
They share posts from Spider-Man and Daredevil. Be like, hey, like there was a new Daredevil trailer that came out this morning from Marvel. So VeVe requoted it and saying like, hey, we're excited for Daredevil. Comment down below with a picture of your favorite collectible or comic cover, and just stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Quick, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin ordinals when we were talking about NFTs and everything? They're interesting. I miss like the early days on that. Probably they'll stick around because they were like the first type of NFTs developed on Bitcoin in first matter, which is why on VeVe I try to collect first appearances of all the things I really like. First matter. So probably they'll do well. Samantha M says Omi could be categorized as a real world asset and metaverse if those narratives hit early. Maybe it could, depending on, well, Omi categorized as a real world asset. Maybe land in the VeVeverse gets considered a real world asset. We'll see.
I think that gets put back on the table when the SEC has like this overhaul. I'm pretty excited for it. And even if it gets put back on the table, I don't think that'll come this year. That might come, next. They'd have to rebuild it. That depending on where on the priority list it goes. Bitcoin ordinals. I tried to remember them yesterday because someone was talking about. I was on that space I mentioned. Just like there's a Simpsons episode where XRP is like $100,000 and Bitcoin's like $1, and they're saying like, well, what has to happen for this? I was like, well. Anyway, long story short, I was trying to think of the memes that were on Bitcoin, and they were ordinals. I just couldn't remember the name. But the fact that people are still talking about it just means that it's got a it seems to have some staying power, at least as far as people talk about it. I mean, heck, we're mentioning it right now.
Yeah, like the reason like CryptoPunks will probably always have some value, and it just becomes kind of like the historical thing, kind of like Nintendo Game Boys in box selling for so much, the first iPhone in box selling for so much. The first matter, so probably those will matter.
That's kind of another point here for the digitals that unfortunately Jeremy Padawar, who's his family and pets are safe. They're fine physically. Their house is gone. Probably 8 figures worth of collectibles that had burned up. Even in his,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, he had a bunch of stuff that was super scarce. Some stuff was like,
how many Pokemon cards were lost in those fires?
Just at Jeremy's house, several. Just a dozen, and these aren't just like normal Pokemon cards that aren't graded. These are like high end ones that hopefully insurance pays out. I imagine he has good ones. But even in his fireproof safe, the safe was fine, but it became an oven, and the stuff inside the fireproof safe was not.
Turned to
Maybe
ash.
Floor safe might have been better. But this is just another testament to say like digital is does it have its issues? Sure, but this place go out fire, Dashi would be not good, but all my VeVe stuff would be fine. I'd lose nothing there. I might lose the phone that it's on, but it's that's it. So yeah, another point to those the digital.
So what else is on your mind? So we can talk about Omi. We can talk about other crypto projects. We've had this little lull that Bitcoin hit like 100,000, came back down. Not a lot is pumping right now. Now there's one that you and I are invested in, and I know a lot of my community's invested in that's been pumping like crazy. But a lot of the other stuff isn't yet. What are you excited about? What are you watching?
I was very curious about not necessarily the news. Well, I guess it was just when Bitcoin went down to the last week, you had some fear because people were saying, "Oh, the government got this Silk Road announcement that they're allowed to sell all the Bitcoin on Silk Road." It took a dump. It kind of tried to fight back, and then like a few days ago, it was like 89.8 and really low. Michael Saylor didn't talk about selling. Heck, he bought more. It's got $450,000 worth, or 450,000 Bitcoin. It's like billions of dollars worth. And BlackRock wasn't selling. So the people's knee-jerk reaction of, I don't know where that news came from and who was reporting it, but a lot of people said, "Oh God, they're going to sell 60,000 Bitcoin. We have to sell right now before they do." And all the people that sold were retail. None of the corporations had sold. They're all saying like the dollar cost averaging, and this was supposed. I like that because, like, okay, we knew this was happening, but it makes me a little melancholy because this is like Bitcoin was kind of invented to like kind of fight the corporations and fight the man and fight the government because they can't manipulate this. This was ours. And what do people do? The first sign of panic, they immediately sell. And granted, it goes into diamond hands. It's great for people like us that hodl. But how do you get people to kind of like realize, like, listen, they're playing you, like they're playing on your emotions, and it's rough, man. That's the not.
It's like in the movie The Matrix, the red pill or the blue pill, but some people want the blue pill, and it's learning to not necessarily believe the narratives that are being sold to you, because how do you think the media pays for itself? How do they pay all those high dollar so people that work for them that have $10 million contracts a year? How do they pay for that? Well, advertising. And you think they just actually cover the news? What they cover is stories, and they're not usually covering the real story. They're covering stories to persuade to different things. And so they're not telling you the story, they're telling you a story. And there's a big difference, because the story or the story is the truth. A story is to persuade you to something. And guess what? When institutions are buying, do those institutions want you to be buying too? No, they want you to be selling. So often you'll see some kind of coordinated efforts, because they're not able to manipulate Bitcoin. They're able to manipulate still public opinion, because public opinion hasn't learned to see through it. And the truth is, some people will never learn to see through it. They don't want to learn how to kind of take in the arguments that people are making them and piece them together, do a little bit of checking themselves, and be like, oh yeah, supposedly all this Black or Silk Road Bitcoin is going to be selling and stuff, and the price is going down, but corporations are buying more. I'm just going to do what the corporations are doing. F that. They don't have the wisdom to be able to do that yet. And some people will. They'll learn it. Like, this is red pilling a bunch of people to being able to see through the narratives that are being sold to you. But that does take time, effort, and like being able to differentiate things. Like, one of the things that happened to me at the university level, I had this really, really smart English professor, but she was like really just a grad student, not even a professor yet. And she was teaching the class. And one of the things we had to do was learn what was being sold to us through the news. So we would have to bring news articles in every class, and we'd have to break it down on what are they trying to persuade us. Then we'd have to do further research and find out what facts are they leaving out. What is the reporter trying, what point of view is he trying to persuade us to? And in this class, my mind was blown that the news was not the news. There were stories being sold to me about all these different things, and they were usually obfuscating some facts while really presenting other facts as really, really strong. And they were telling a story and not the story. And that changed me, because I saw that the news is not just some innocent, they're just trying to tell us what's going on, that there are big powers behind that. They're trying to sell you on a certain way of seeing things.
There's people that are, I think, are fine. Also, Dystopia, I just got your message, just sent you. You're good. I got you the stuff. I didn't see it. Unfortunately, my messages no longer belong to me. Yeah, mainstream media do be lying, though. There are people that are fighting back, obviously.
Yeah, I like how he says, like, some of my friends and family still believe that Bitcoin equals criminality. That is a story being sold to you. Why? Because they make their money from the existing banks that have their power structure invested in that. So they're selling you a story, not the story.
Yeah. And the story is that it's too volatile. It's too risky for normal people to have. I remember years ago when JP Morgan and Chase offered Bitcoin options only to their clients that had $10 million in net worth and more. And they wouldn't give the option to us pories, because that's like the gate. There's like, no, keep all the poor people out. We don't want poor people getting it. Only offer it to your rich clients and above. And they did it under the guise of it's too risky to do. And then look what's happened now. Like look at them now. How all these corporations got so much Bitcoin now. Anyway, moving on to a bit of a happier note. One of the things that we are both pretty happy about is DeVe, and I say happy a little bit because I did get a little more money yesterday, and it was like $1.50, and I was like, wick down to $1.27 like a couple nights ago. I was like, go back to 140. I'll buy some there, and then I wake up and it's like $1.63. It's $1.67 right now. I'm trying to buy it like all. There's this one wallet like 8404E or something like that. Sold like 100,000 in the past, and you would think like if someone sold 100,000 Omi, go down like 20, or $100,000 with Omi would go down like 20%. This dude sold $100,000 worth of DeVe, and we're up like 15%. So I'm trying to buy on all of these people's sells and the dips, but the dips just they last for so short now on and again, unfortunately for people in America, we're only really able to get it on Uniswap or Coinbase wallet that has that aggregator. Can't get it on Mexi. You can't get it on these other places unless you have like a VPN. And we're just
how much liquidity there is. There's 1.25 million between the ETH that are put up and the DeVe tokens that are put up, providing liquidity there. So 100,000 won't even drop it all that much because there's so much liquidity there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is an interesting one, right? So obviously this is one of my largest bags. I believed in it for a long time. If you're a follower of the channel, I was shouting DeVe from the rooftops down here. But a lot of people like to think they would have got in when the charts look like this, and they just don't. They won't. They don't have the conviction yet to learn how to trust their research and buy something when the token price is like that. Now, is it attractive here? Well, I still think it has room to run. I think this is one that can go well over $100. Normally, after a run like this, I just tell people stay the hell away from it. It's up from really bottomed at 12 cents. So it's up, depending on the minute, it's up almost as high as 15x at the peak here. So normally when you've missed a 15x, you've missed most of the juicy run. And the truth is you've missed a lot of it. If you weren't in way down low, you've missed a lot of this run, because imagine you had gone at 12 cents and you're up 15x already. So if it goes another 100x from here, then you're up, what, 1500x? Like,
no,
a huge difference in your returns. So there's still potential here. What it will do in the short term when the news comes out, which should be sometime soon, I don't know, but there is some resistance here. So with this one, if you're planning to hold on through to the bull market when it goes crazy, well, that makes sense to me, because when it comes up to this resistance here, it'll usually dance back and forth below it before it breaks through. And I'm not sure what it's going to do. But if you're interested in DeVe, the first thing you got to do is go watch the interviews with Tom Anderson and with Austin, their spokesperson, to see why Randy and I like DeVe so much, as to, so that you can see, is it even worth buying? I still think it's got lots of potential, but I sure wish everyone had done all their research and everything at these prices. No. Because once it starts doing this massive thing, it's not like you can't make gains from here, but the gains just aren't as big as if you had bought when it was really cheap.
There's a couple of things that I think some people overlook. They just look about how much they'll look at the price. Okay, it's like $1.68. They look at where they might have looked at where it was. And maybe they look at what position they are on, like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, whatever. It is flipped Omi. CoinMarketCap has it at number 381. People say, well, if it becomes a top 100 coin, which it 100% definitely could. But right now, there's not a lot of places to buy it. Again, you could buy it on Uniswap if you're in America, but outside of there, you have Mexi, you have Gate.io. One thing that Omi has over this right now is that you're able to buy it on OKX. And when we have these big days where we shoot up on Omi to like 0007, most of that comes from OKX. Currently, Devi does not have that. They don't have a big exchange. I think at some point that comes, and when that does, you allow more liquidity in, because all of these gains are happening on like $2 and $3 million days. Like the volume right now has been 2.3 million over the last 24 hours. And what happens when you go on these bigger exchanges and people are, again, just going over to CoinMarketCap? I don't know where these rumors come from. Obviously, where there's a lot of smoke, there tends to be a little bit of fire. Me and Rain both know I was talking to the founder the other day, Tom Anderson, and they're just very tight-lipped on stuff. I can't say what we were talking about, but very tight-lipped on stuff. But the rumors that are going on just on CoinMarketCap, on the comments, where people are like talking about this listing, and a lot of people are saying NASDAQ, that is not confirmed. So obviously there's one of two things that could happen. If something comes out and there is it's something like a smaller exchange, like whatever it is, there might be some disappointment there, might be a big sell-off. But if it comes out and it is something like that, the volume goes from, let's round it up to 3 million. And if the volume goes up 20x to 60 million, does that mean that we do a 20x in price? No, but do we do like a 6x in price?
So the exchange information isn't that they're going to be listed on that exchange. It's that they're doing a partnership to build out that exchange on the blockchain. And maybe you explained that, and I missed it, but I just want to
I wasn't clear with it. I think I used the wrong words. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But that type of partnership it's like hitherto undreamt of. I don't know if there's too many people outside of maybe XRP that has these deals with governments and banks and Wall Street. And again, like, you have to go back how many years to find one that has done that over the last couple of years. It's XRP. Maybe there's others that I'm not really aware of right now.
It really has a lot of similarities to what XRP is doing. And one of my community members who's followed XRP really, really deep down the rabbit hole, he said XRP is actually also uses API calls, just like Devi does. So most blockchains have some kind of programming language that is difficult, like Solidity, or they have some other things. So the only ones I'm aware of are XRP and Devi that use API calls to interact with them. Makes it really easy for existing Web 2 businesses to then use Devi or XRP because their programming base already knows how to make API calls. In fact, with Devi, you don't even realize that you're not using just a simple regular database because you're using API calls to interact with it. It's just a really high-speed blockchain, which is really just a more secure form of database, except that this database is much faster than traditional databases are by a large scale. And so people will be able to interact that way. But Devi doing this kind of partnership is along the lines of what XRP is doing. Like, XRP is building itself as the financial rails of money settlement. And so what they do is when you're sending money in the US to, say, money in Japan, they actually send XRP and they sell here and buy here or whatever to XRP. And then on the other end, they unwind that transaction all within a matter of seconds. So in Devi, in their exchange model, is instantaneous settlement. But when the settlement happens, and so say you buy 1,000 shares of Tesla stock, a lot of times you think you bought 1,000 shares of Tesla stocks because it shows up in your Robinhood account right away, but it's not actually there. That settlement takes like 1 or 2 days. And so they have to carry a large float, companies like Robinhood, which is like, what happens if the price of Robinhood actually goes up in the meantime? Well, they still are going to deliver those 1,000 shares to you. And so they got to pay a little extra. Now, sometimes they then get things on discount too, because sometimes the price goes down. On average, it about balances out, but they have to tie up hundreds of millions of dollars for this float. Well, with Devi, they can have instantaneous settlement. There's no float time. So when it's reflected in your account, you actually have it from day one. And that's what this major exchange, my understanding was really exciting to them, and why they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to, if your project, if your blockchain can actually do what you say you're going to do, then we're going to do a deal. And it looks like a deal is probably signed, and that will be announced pretty soon, from my understanding. So I'm excited on how that's coming together.
So the difference in volume that we've had on the way down from last year was ranging anywhere between like 300,000 and like 60,000 up until we reached like 14 cents. And then as we started going up, you never really had a day where it was less than 100,000. It was always a couple hundred to maybe like 400-ish thousand around November. And by that point, we were 28 cents. And then we start getting into the millions over several hundred thousands to the millions across December. But a lot of times you do like a 15x in volume, and we did like a 12x in price. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again if we 20x in volume from here. I mean, if we did, I mean, we'd be at what's 20 times a dollar, even at like $1.50. You're looking at $30. But that is, I'm not saying that happens right away, but a 20x in volume, even if you do a 5x and suddenly you're at, $9, or that's $8. That's pretty significant. That's just in the short term. In the long term, obviously, a lot of people think that if this does what everyone thinks it can do, and they have a lot of these partnerships, could be that top 100. I think is pretty easily manageable, but it could also be a top 20. Top 20 right now is $10 billion market cap, and that's not going to stay the same. That's going to change. Top 20 could probably be like 40, 50 billion. That cream will rise to the top.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I think Devi's got potential. They could end up, and this is the right things have to come together for that to work out and be a top 10 project. What would have to happen is, well, we don't really have confirmed what the exchange is they've been talking about, but they said it's not a crypto exchange. It's a real world exchange. So I often use the example of Robinhood, but the team told me it isn't Robinhood. So, well, okay, so it's not Robinhood. We know that, but a real exchange that trades stocks and other things. And they want to do an exchange that can handle not just stocks, but also like real world assets on it and crypto and everything on it. And Devi's good for that. So when this announcement comes out, if it's a really big deal, like they think it is and feel it is, we'll see when we get the news. And it depends on how it launches. But if it gets the whole world talking about Devi's token goes crazy. Or if it just wakes up enough other big companies that then they look at Devi, and then we have a myriad of Devi announcements, then it goes crazy in that environment too, and can easily get into a top 10 coin, which from where the market cap is now, that's a long ways. And the market cap is like, it's not as cheap as it was. The market cap was so ridiculously cheap, which is why I was shouting it from the rooftops, but some people weren't ready to hear it, right? So it's now at $145 million market cap. Keep in mind, it was at an $8 million market cap. And I was like, this is way too cheap. This is a layer 1 blockchain that can do 8 million transactions per second. This price is ridiculous. The team got so much depth to it. Like, it's just because there is no awareness of this project right now. But that won't always be the case. And now there's a lot more awareness, but still most of the crypto space, if you go around and you ask, like Crypto Banter even did a paid spot where he talked about Devi. If you asked Crypto Banter what Devi was, I'm sure he wouldn't even know. He didn't even seem to know what it was when he did the paid spot about it. Most people don't know what Devi is still, but that will change, right? So there's a lot of noise in the crypto space. But once you break through and people start looking deeper at the substance, they'll see there's a lot of substance here and it can do well. My only concern is it's done this in the short term. So anybody buying for the short term, you got to be prepared that sometimes it'll pull back and trade sideways for a while. And it may happen. It may not. It may never hit that. We may have the Trump inauguration and everything just goes ballistic for like 2 or 3 months. And at that point, maybe Devi's at like $200. Or it may be that things settle and they trade sideways and down till like October, November, December. And then its potential is maybe realized. I don't know how this year is going to play out, but I always get concerned when I see these massive green candles. I don't ever FOMO into this. If I do FOMO into this, it's because, darn, I missed it here. But I realize in the short term it may pull back onto me. But I'm just going to hold it till it's much higher if I believe it truly will do much higher. So
right.
just
If
some
this
thoughts.
goes to $200, I'm gonna kiss you. I'm not saying I'm gonna like it. I'm just saying that I'm gonna kiss you. Yeah.
Rain, my wife would laugh so hard. Have you contemplated? Thank you for the super chat, Dystopia. Have you contemplated clothing range? I own a premium one word TLD. I do like good clothing. I tend to buy now and I have for a while, the more expensive clothing that lasts you a while, because you do feel better in nice high-end clothes. So when I was much younger, I would buy the cheap clothing, and you know what? It doesn't last very long. It doesn't last as many washes. I learned a secret, I don't know, good 8 years ago or something, 10 years ago. Buying the high-end brand stuff, you pay more up front, but it lasts you years and years longer, and you look better in the meantime. I don't know. So if you have some ideas, Dystopia, you can reach out to me on Telegram.
So as you have the Devi screen up, talked to my boy Arya yesterday, and he did a 20x leverage on Devi on MEXC, and as of today, or as of before, it was like hours ago when we were at $1.59. He was up 222% because he had that 20x leverage. So now he's obviously up quite a bit more. That 20x long is, so you can make some real money, but you can get liquidated very, very easily on there. And they give you like a little bit of warning. Like if you have some, I think if he did it at $1.43. If it were to go down to like $1.30, he automatically gets liquidated. Now he'll get a notification at like $1.35 saying, "Hey, this is happening." But if you don't get money in there to cover yourself, it's gone, and you lose everything. So it is a very high risk, high reward. I'm not advocating for this, but it's just, yeah, he went hard, and he's hodling.
Yeah, I was one of the first people with a YouTube channel that found out about Bybit, right? And I was offered to do like a link to that for leverage trading, which is really what they started at. And it was like, I don't want my audience messing around with leverage. Like it'll wreck them. And there's a lot of influencer I know, they make millions of dollars from their Bybit referral links. That is at the cost of their viewers in most cases. They always say like, yeah, make sure you're doing this responsibly, blah, blah. Leverage wrecks most people, so I don't touch it. So like, it's cool. Some people, he's way ahead on this. That's cool. He took a really risky bet. And I learned the hard lesson that I took a leverage position, and I was right about which way it would go, but I was wrong first. So it wicked down really quick, liquidated my position, and then it went up to where I thought it was going to be. And I was like, well, crap, if I had just held the asset instead of going leveraged. And I did a low leverage long so that I thought I would be safe. And I was right, but I was wrong just for a second, got wicked out, lost the money. And then it went right up to where I thought it would. And I was like, dang it.
Man, petrols are wild. Speaking of wild stuff, you have not only the Trump inauguration, if you add, and I don't know how much this would add to our GDP, but if you add Canada and Greenland, and suddenly we take over shipping routes in the Panama Canal, which will be called the USA Canal, maybe, like you have a lot of really bullish things happening. So the Israel and Gaza, that they have a ceasefire, hostages are going home. That is great news. That's just great news in general. But I think that's part of why markets pumped, is because you have like a little bit more stability in a war-torn region. As that stability happens, people get more confident in the markets. I know exactly why you're laughing too, because people were saying, should I explain it or not? Just let it go.
Whatever. Like, what's funny is politics affects money. And some people are like, I hate talking about politics. And it's like, you can't understand money if you don't understand at least some level the politics behind it. Look, Donald Trump, people think he's mean. Sure, he sometimes hurts people's feelings. But the world is way more safe with a strong U.S. president who doesn't have to use force because people know he will use force and he is not scared to. And he will do it not to show that he's using force. He will do it to win. And I remember when he ran in 2016, I actually didn't think he would do the things he said he was going to do. And then I watched him do it, despite 50% or higher of his own party fighting him, 100% of the other party, and over 50% of his own party fighting him on all the things he said he was going to do. He's a badass. He really is. And so, like, Gaza wanted nothing to do with their pussying around when Trump was president, right? Like, they're like, oh, Trump will F us up. So let's sign a peace deal. And the same thing happened when Reagan was coming in after Carter. And the truth is, like, Joe Biden reminds me of Carter's administration in a lot of ways, except weaker than Carter's administration. And under Joe Biden, the bad guys could get away with whatever. But then they know the sheriff's coming back in town. They're like, let's hurry up and make a settlement agreement. And you'll see, like, the world will settle down real quick because Donald Trump doesn't mess around. And other world leaders, like, they may fear him, they may hate him, but they also respect him.
So, and anyway, if we, as things are good for America, and America seems to be like the crypto hub, or that's what it looks like it's about to be, and suddenly you have, in the first days of this new administration, an executive order, or maybe go through Congress, whatever it is, and suddenly tens of billions of dollars are used to be able to go and say, let's have this strategic Bitcoin reserve, and then maybe stuff gets added to it. Maybe you have, and I'm not going to say it's anything that we're talking about here that is going to be added to it. Obviously, you might have ETH, you might have Cardano, whatever's added to it. Eventually, those profits, and like as people go in and they get super bullish, he's going to force other countries to do that. You will have some profit taking by some people that bought Bitcoin at 14,000, 20,000, whatever it is, and that'll flow into other stuff. One of the things that'll happen is it'll just go to the top 100, but then obviously the cream rises to the top. You know, you have your Devis, you have your Omis, you'll have your Definities, but when this happens, do you think there could be a precedent of, Kathy Wood said it back in the day, like in 2017, everyone should have 1% of their portfolio in Bitcoin. Do you think that changes a little bit here, and they say, okay, you should probably have, 3 to 5% of your portfolio in just crypto, and then they X out Bitcoin and they just put crypto? Because I mean, over on in people's like 401ks, I forget what, like Lori Brenner has it. You can buy Flow there, you can buy Hedera, buy HBAR, but there's like 5 of the things that you can buy are meme coins. So clearly, and it's like people's retirement accounts. So clearly, people are not only obsessed with Bitcoin. How do you see this affecting people's retirements? How do you know, now that more and more money's going there, how do you see this affecting Gen X, millennials, and even Gen Z?
Just a sec. I'm writing a response to Dystopia. He's asking, where can you get on the Rain Discord? You have to join my private Patreon. The link to that is below my YouTube videos. So if you go to the See More, then you'll see it.
See more butts. Hey, what's up, Igor? How's it going, fam?
So, yeah, you have to click on See More or whatever it is that allows you to see more, and find the Patreon link. And then you have to link up your Discord. It's a little bit of a pain at first, but once you get into the private Discord, like, that's where there's a lot of back end discussion and sometimes some opportunities that come up that I don't ever talk about on YouTube. So, and that's where a lot of my Rainmaker community, a lot of these guys have been around with me for 3 years, which is when I started the private Discord, and they've been loading up on things. And sometimes we have some private interviews there that don't ever make it to the public YouTube page, that are like back end private discussions with some of the CEOs where you're able to ask your questions directly to them. And so, and we've had that with Tom Anderson of Devi. Like, my community is very well aware of Devi and has been, and anyone who missed it and they're buying now, it's like, well, they had 17 chances to buy it much, much cheaper. So most of my community didn't miss Devi at all. Now, there's other things that we're not like, keep in mind, Devi's just one that's started running. There's some other ones that haven't run yet. I'm a big believer in Definity. I'm a big believer in Omi. That's what this whole channel is about. That's why I doubled down on Omi as my homie, and Randy and Doctor and stuff. And I created this episode show per week called Omi is my homie. I think Omi is going to be a home run. I think VeVe is positioned well. I think Omi, the pendulum swung too far to the upside in 2021. It swung too far to the downside right now. And so I think Omi is a good home run. Now, do I like it better than Devi? Well, at this price, I even still like Devi, but I have loaded up more on Omi. One of the hard things is Devi's one of my biggest positions. So it's not like I'm adding more Devi. I have millions of Devi. I'm not adding more to it. I have so much. So it's like, just kind of watching it take off.
Damn, Ryan, you got millions of Devi. You you just went from a 9.5 to a 9.8 in my book. God damn. Who's someone over the window?
Yeah, it was once at 12 cents, but I bought my Devi when, like, some of my early community, when I had first launched the website, some of the people that, were able to get in back then, almost in like a private friends and family deal, and get into Devi back in 2021. And everyone who did is pretty much millionaires from it.
That's amazing. That's so heckin' cool. As we were going off and saying, U.S. I don't know if the U.S. would ever purchase Greenland or Canada. They might just annex them. Somebody was asking if the U.S. wants to purchase Greenland, should VeVe buy Candy Digital? I would say no, because most of the people that are there are VeVe peeps already. I don't know how much Candy Digital's worth. Let's say it's worth, a couple million. I think it would behoove VeVe more to go in and tell the licensors, be like, hey, just come on to VeVe. And the only licensor they have is really just the DC comic books, as far as I know. And at that point, again, we've seen other companies that have had one license, and we've seen companies that had multiple licenses. It doesn't work out for them.
Well, what if they bought Candy Digital just so they could get the DC Comics licenses? Would that be worth it? Probably.
Long term, sure.
Long term, yeah, because then they are the marketplace for digital comics, right? And because there's a secondary marketplace, especially if it's enabled, so, and part of the deal, make it so that DC comic book can be bought on the Stacker app. That'd be big. And is it worth a couple $1 million to do that? Yeah. I mean, that's a great idea.
How do you think those conversations went when VeVe and Marvel are negotiating about putting letting VeVe put all of their new comics up onto VeVe Comics, one calling it VeVe Comics, not calling Marvel. And the reason they did that VeVe fought so hard for that was because now they have Dynamite, you have Thundercats, you have Powerpuff Girls, you have Vampirella. How did they do that? I have no idea how they went and got that Marvel to agree to, like, yes, you can use all of our stuff, but you could use your own name. You don't need to use our name.
Yeah. Some good negotiations. Think of it. They got that first Batman Black and White license, and I think they paid a fee up front, and they didn't have to pay any ongoing revenue with it, right?
Yeah.
As the things resold. And so I think there's some damn good negotiators there, because some of these negotiations, you're like, man, that VeVe, you hit it out of the park. So this is the second time Dino is asking this, and I missed some comments earlier, so thank you for re-asking this. What real-world problem does Omi solve?
Well, you have a couple of things. I mean, VeVe in general, like I said, with these fires, people losing everything. Digital collectibles are fine in those physical types of horrendousness. I mean, you might not care so much about your digital collectibles if everything that you own in real life is kind of up in flames, for lack of a better term. But at the end of the day, that value is still here. You don't have to deal with insurance companies, you don't have to deal with that. So that's a major plus for digital collectibles. And then part of the ways that you're going to be able to buy some of these, at least for discounted prices, are with Omi on Stacker. Almost everything that is listed for Omi on Stacker is at a discount from where it's listed at on the VeVe app. If something's listed for $50 on the VeVe app, someone has no problem putting it for 47, 45, or even like 40, whatever, on the Stacker app for Omi. So it's a way, like, again, how do you want to spend money? I'd like to spend as least as possible for the same product. And I know you have different mint numbers here and there, and that's fine, but that's a huge issue that people like. I love discounts, and I know a couple of people that that I work with that love discounts. They will never buy anything full price. They will only buy something if they get a discount. And you have a bunch of those people that are going to be on Stacker. But again, does it solve like a huge problem? No, but does it make it easier for people to connect and buy and sell things? Absolutely. Rain, what are your thoughts on it?
I was trying to figure out what Dystopia is talking about here. I have no idea what you're asking. Are you banned? How are you banned?
On Discord?
The secret chat, we already explained it to you. You have to join the private Patreon, my private Patreon, under the Crypto Rain channel. And then connect up your Discord. Gives you some instructions. If you have trouble there, you have to hit me up on Telegram. I'll connect you up to my admin that has it. But the only chance you've been banned is, like, in the history of it, we've had 2 scammers come in, pay the fees, try to post a bunch of links, which then they learned you can't post links till we made it so you can't post links till you've been there like a certain amount of time and a certain number of posts, and they got booted right away anyway. So unless you were one of those, yeah, they got banned permanently. But that probably wasn't you. So I missed that, and I saw it finally. Hunter Biden lost millions to art in the fires. I mean, his art was so amazing. I totally get why Chinese were paying millions of dollars for his art, because, wow, that was some precious art. It had no bearing on access to the big guy. No bearing. It was just for his amazing art. And it's so sad. What a loss to the art world to have some of Hunter Biden's paintings burning up in California.
I forget the question I asked also. What was the comment on here?
I know. We're both like massive ADHD here, right?
It was Dino's question was
oh,
hey,
yes.
What's up, Dystopia?
Yeah, it was back to Dino's question. What real world problem does Omi solve? And you were talking about like how you can use it on Stacker. So, like, here's the funny thing. In 2021, I thought use case was so summarily important. And there were a couple metaverse plays that I was like, you know what? Their token is kind of worthless. So that Sandbox and Decentraland. And I had some of their tokens, but not meaningful amounts, because I used it to transact with some of their stuff. But it didn't stop their tokens from doing 300x, even though their use case is kind of lame. Now, Omi has an okay use case for the token. It's not as strong as the use case for like ETH, where you have to use ETH as gas. It's not as strong as the use case for Bitcoin, but it is an okay, in fact, decent use case for today's day and age, because like most use cases and most tokens are pretty weak. But when a certain project takes off, people want to buy the token associated with it. So is the use case really strong? It's stronger than probably 80% of the projects out there use case. Is it really strong? No, I wouldn't say it's really strong. Does it matter? Far less than you think it does.
Yeah, that VeVe-verse, the microtransactions, and VeVe hasn't come out and said that there are going to be any, but they'd be stupid to not have any microtransactions. Like, hey, let's say they give you a light in your showroom, but what if they charge you $1 worth of Omi, and then you can choose? Now you can choose from a plethora of colors of all the rainbow and beyond to have like a red light room or a black light room, or you could just make the colors in different things, like just something like that. Or again, couches, or if you have like it'd be great if you have like Recur toilet paper or like Quid toilet paper. I would totally buy that. I would TP other people's places with it. Dude.
We would find out where Paul Barron lives and toilet paper his house with it. That's what we would do.
Please make that in real life. David, you, Ben Rose, I will 100% spend good money on that.
And I like Paul Barron. He's just dead wrong on VeVe, called VeVe dead like for forever ago. And so it'd be like a funny joke. Like, I quite like the guy. There's a few YouTube channels that I really, really like about crypto that I'm like, wow, these are amazing. Paul Barron's is decent, but not bad. There's a lot of bad ones. He was just dead wrong on VeVe, so that would be the funniest ever, because we will never forget how wrong he was on is VeVe dead and like Omi, and you gotta recur is the future, and all these Animoca Brands ones that he was like pitching of like, oh yeah, and those are all going down in flames, and VeVe's still very much alive and well. And the Omi token, well, most think it's dead, but just wait. And then we'll go toilet paper Paul Barron's house. Randy, let's do that. And we can't video it because then we'd be creating video evidence of our malfeasance. But
I don't know what's the fine for that.
Maybe we just pay the fine, and it would be like in good fun. Like, I don't have animosity for him, just animosity for his bad pick there, his bad call. But I like Paul Barron, and I watch a lot of his shows because he does a lot of interviews. I find interviews with projects one of the most helpful things. And he has Animoca Brands on a bunch, which is cool. Like, I like those guys a lot at Animoca Brands. I wish if I had, put together billions of dollars in a fund, I would be mostly investing in blockchain gaming as well.
Yeah.
Just like Animoca Brands is doing.
On the mobile app update, good bringing it back to VeVe here. We have some mobile app updates. Unfortunately, it's only for iPhone, where we didn't get it for Android as of yet. But that's like the 8th update we've had since November, when they launched what shall not be named. They launched a new app, and even though it looked great, the technical stuff was bonkers with it. But I think this is just what Ben's strategy is. And it was hard to tell at first, but when he first talked about evolvables, he said that was not his idea. That was just on the back shelf. And I don't know why they hadn't released it. Maybe they were waiting for a new app. Maybe Dan and David wanted to wait till it was perfect. Whatever. Ben just like, heck it, bro, like, release it. And was there problems with it? Absolutely. Was most of that from the new app? Also absolutely. But he released the new app. Definitely wasn't ready, but the amount of improvements that we've had since that new app launched, it's probably now akin to the old app, if not better. And if there's anything that we go to do, like we had this issue of the special edition for the commons that were going with the evolvables. They weren't showing us what the remaining mints were. They were just showing, like, you had no idea. There could be 30 left, there could be none left, they could be sold out. And everyone and their sisters going on Twitter, going on X, was like, hey, can we like fix this, please? And like a few weeks later, they fixed it. So all of the stuff that would have taken like months, years ago, is now taking a couple of weeks to fix. I really like the new app because of that. It seems that it's easier to build upon. And it seems that Ben's strategy here is release it. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, we'll get some FUD for it in the short term when things don't work 100% well. But then we'll fix it, and then that's what these people get paid for. And once we fix it, then people won't really care that it sucked for 2 weeks, and then it'll just be better. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like the strategy, or is it like too much FUD for your liking?
Look, some of the FUD just really people are worried that like Omi's price will never recover, or that the collectibles won't go up, and it's just impatience of like, are we there yet? Impatience. And it's just like, some people can only look at the negatives, and they only talk about the negatives, and they bring them up over and over and over and over again. It reminds me of like a naggy spouse, like completely like a naggy spouse. They don't get the bigger picture. They're not thankful for anything good you do for them. It's just like, oh my gosh, you forgot to take out the garbage. Okay, so you make a couple $100,000 a year and you provide for me and the kids and everything, but you forgot the garbage. The garbage. I mean, who does that? I mean, that's the level of like complaints about like, oh my gosh, Ben, you forgot to take out the garbage. Like, just like dumb things that get fixed. And then they just move on to the next dumb thing. And it's just like emotional disillusionment is all it is. So they're emotionally like disillusioned and have like given up on VeVe. And so there's no good thing that you can do right. Like if you end up in that situation with your spouse has pretty much given up on the relationship and they're just blaming you. That's why they're like that. Like your relationship is more over than you realize. Just like these people that have emotionally checked out on VeVe, why they tune in all the time and still bring these complaints up all the time, I don't know, but they do. And they've just kind of given up and there's nothing you can do right for those people. So whatever. Ben Rose, so far what I've seen from him, rock star. He's making great decisions, doing good things. Question, someone said, Toby said, have you seen Ben Rose's new interview? What do you think? I haven't seen it. Did you, Randy?
He does a lot of interviews. To which is he referring?
I know, right? So I saw Ben Rose's interview when he like joined us. I've seen a couple with him. I've seen VeVe like really running hard since he's come in, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I would say I've seen most of his stuff. I thoroughly enjoy most of it. Speaking of VeVe, though, he's sometimes on the VeVe channel going on, and he'll talk with Old Rhubarb or My Collectibles. Old Rhubarb was on the VeVe channel a few days ago talking about Running Mon, the new drop that we had a couple days back, and they said that we have a physical surprise for y'all. It was a Phygital. The first 20 people to collect the set get some signed physicals from the artist, which I thought was really cool. And I did not think this was going to do all that well, especially after, what was it, Inside Out. That Inside Out 2 was like the #1 animated movie for 2024. It was like one of Disney's like Pride and Joy. It was a very anticipated sequel, made, I don't know, like $1 billion or something. And the drop with these characters made like $25,000. And I was like, oh, if that happened, there's no way this Running Mon stuff. Like, I've never heard of Running Mon. And then they go out and they sell $65,000 worth of stuff. I had first thought it was because of the phygital aspect, but I was quickly disabused of that notion when everyone was like, no, it's because you have like a 3% chance of landing something positive on the Disney drop, you know, getting that secret rare. But there was a lot of chases and you had like a lot higher percent chance of getting, you know, better bang for your buck on this. And the physical stuff definitely helped. If you were VeVe and interpreting this data, how would you interpret that? Would you go in and just say like, okay, we're going to do Phigitals with everything because clearly that works, and we're going to have multiple chases? Do you just automatically do that, or do you just do the physicals first, leave out the multiple chases, and then on another drop do multiple chases, leave out the physicals, and then like do you go down all those?
There's a really important lesson to be learned there, and I don't have access to the data to know what commonalities there are and why did this drop vastly outperform Disney's drop. Now, the truth is about Inside Out, like how. So just because a movie is popular doesn't mean people want the merchandise associated with that movie. And I don't know that it lends well to merchandise associated with it the way like Transformers or G.I. Joe might. But maybe like, but yeah, there's a reason why the drop didn't sell well versus this other one. This other one did amazing. And so definitely there's some lessons to be learned. And maybe it's because the physical side part of it, like the physical thing has been a really big deal. Like the Louis Vuitton shoes that the Queen has, and she got like the digital collectible associated with them. And those were really, really cool. I bought the Stan Lee leather jacket just so I could get the collectibles associated with it. And it's a good looking jacket. So this idea of Phigitals is like a really good idea. Is that what did it? I think they have to test that further and see. Is Doctor of Stuff coming on? He's not. We've missed him for a while, and I don't know what the next time is he's going to be able to join us. He's had some schedule things going on that are interfering, so I don't know.
A lot of gymnastics. Doc better come back ripped AF.
He is working on gymnastics, and part of it is with his kids, but I think he likes to go too because he gets out there, and my understanding is did a lot of gymnastics when he was a kid, more than I knew of when I knew him when he was much younger, and so like he's been getting in shape with gymnastics too. He was telling me like he used to be able to do this trick. It was cool. I don't know what age he was. He's probably 20 something, where he would stand on his hands and he would do an upside down push up and pick up like a 20, like upside down. It was really, really cool. So he's working on getting that back and some other things. So while having fun with his kids, unfortunately, he still has a full-time day job and they pay him very well to be very smart. But yeah, he hasn't made that life-changing gains yet because he didn't listen to me in 2018, 2019. It's like, oh, yeah, crypto stuff, blah, blah, blah. Never, blah. Don't talk to me about it. It wasn't until I had some life-changing gains. He's like, hey, Rain, crypto's way up. How you doing? I'm like, good. Yeah, how's work going? I don't know. I just quit. What do you mean you quit? Like, no, I let him go. I liked it, but I'm moving and I don't work there anymore. And he's like, what? What? Oh, so I told him about VeVe, and that was my mistake because then he went crazy on VeVe. Now it was like a good thing. VeVe helped get him into crypto. VeVe, he's like, he got the whole idea of like the first Batman on the blockchain and what a big deal that was going to be. And he went all in on VeVe.
Oh, we've got news in here. Trump is encouraging Vivek Ramaswamy to seek Ohio's open Senate seat. I was kind of hoping that they would give it to Josh Mandel because he was the one that was going to win it. He was winning that Senate race against Vance before Trump had gone over and backed Vance for it. But I didn't tell you yet. I met Vivek the other day. Was at the gym, and so my brain is just scrambled eggs at this point. It's my first day back at the gym in like 3 months, and all of my blood is like in my body. It's not in my brain, and I'm sitting down like trying to gather my thoughts, having a protein shake, and I see him, and I was like, and he like clocked me like looking at him like a doofus. I was like, oh, and then I was like, there's no way that's him. So I have to Google it. I was like, okay, it is him. Like, wow. And I try to like get my card out like real quick because I wanted to like pay for like his water that he was getting, but like I was too late. And then I was like, hey, Vivek, and he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, hi, I'm Randy Chavez. I love you. And then he's holding like some racquetball stuff in his right hand, so he shakes my hand with his left hand. And I was like, I'm a veteran. I run this YouTube channel. How can I help you? And there was, I didn't tell him anything about crypto. I didn't tell him anything about like how successful I was in certain aspects. And just, it was a horrendous, I'm going to have nightmares about this for the rest of my life. I was not cool. I was like a 13-year-old boy trying to ask out his 16-year-old crush. It was just, yeah, I fudged up.
That guy. So one of the challenges, I actually make the case that they should pay politicians in the U.S. more and in Canada too. And the reason is like some people are mad that they make so much. The problem with not paying them more is they really can't make it with how expensive Washington, D.C. has gotten. They can't make it on $300,000 a year. And you think, oh, that's more than enough money. It isn't, because they have to fly back and forth to visit with their constituents. And so then the amount of money they can make by being corrupt is vastly disproportional to those that are honest. And so somebody who is honest, who isn't independently wealthy, can't hardly afford to go do this job. Someone who's corrupt can afford to do this job. Like Joe Biden has been in civil service for just 50 years or whatever. And I don't know how he's worth like $80 million while only making a salary of, probably started at $100,000 back then and $300,000, having all these expenses and like, all this money. I mean, you can put 2 and 2 together and figure out how, like Elizabeth Warren is, worth so much. So there's huge incentives. to be let's just say paint outside the lines. Whereas if they made like $1 million a year, that wouldn't cost. How many senators are there? So 104 senators, U.S. senators, or whatever. No, is there even 104?
There's 100,
there's
but I don't know if
100.
you're counting for Canada and Greenland.
Yeah, Canada and Greenland. There we go. And then they're trying to add Puerto Rico in there. But anyway, 100 senators, so that costs like $100 million right there, and then like all the congressmen. So that ends up being like 500 additional million for Congress. And it seems like that's a lot of money, but they waste so much money. And part of the reason they waste it is that it gets redirected back into campaign contributions or whatever else. And so, like, it's one of the problems, like in Mexico, that their police don't make enough money to make it without being corrupt. And so there's this huge incentive to be corrupt. And so I think incentives would be more misaligned if they paid them more. Now, Vivek's already rich. Donald Trump was already rich going into this. And that's part of the reason that, like, so they don't have to like ask for favors, say, hey, I'm going to sell out my constituents in return for millions of dollars, because they're already rich. And so it means that only those that are really, really rich, they're only stepping up to the plate because they see the country going so badly. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to. So don't make a situation where your country has to be in such bad shape for good people to be able to step forward. Make it so they can make enough. And so I know 90% of people want to see Congress make more. I want to see them make 3 times, or they want to see Congress make less. I want them to make 3 or 4 times what they're making now. And I think we would get better people running and less corrupt people in there. Right now, you can't hardly make it unless you're corrupt. So congrats to all the amazing men and women that are in Congress and the Senate that aren't corrupt. That's incredible. Yeah. But we know a bunch of you are questionable how your stock trades outperform the S&P 500 consistently by 3x over the S&P 500. That's questionable.
Clearly, they're just master traders, and they're
just amazing. I agree. They're just amazing. We'll just say that. They're just very, very savvy. That's why they got in Congress, because they're so savvy. They're so smart, and they can just see the future magically.
Speaking of future, I feel like Squidward in that one Chrome episode of SpongeBob. We have Definity Markets going off and sharing almost a month-old post from Sheriff DeFi. Sheriff DeFi has got 150-ish thousand followers over on X, saying the right to build wealth is universal, but what if billions lacked access? Talking about Facet Official is the Coinbase for emerging markets and already licensed stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then talk about Galaxy. Now, I looked at Galaxy, Galaxe, and Facet Official. Definity does not follow Galaxe, but they do follow Facet Official. They had gone on and reposted that, and the repost is just a couple of pair of eyes to take a look at. What do you think that's about? What do you think that is?
I don't know. I saw that repost from them, and I don't know what that's about. Do you have any clue? Because I don't.
I mean, I took a look at Facet. They got so they had 3,300 4,100 now they have 4,100 followers. I don't know how many of those are bots or whatever. But going over to their website, so they're based out of Dubai. It seems that they want to go in. I mean, I don't want to paraphrase. I'll try to read it word for word. For business, yeah. They go off and say, welcome to the new world asset economy. Join us in democratizing the way real world assets are traded with our white label blockchain-based Facet Connection Network, or FCN, built for the future, and get in the $1 trillion tokenization market today with our expertly curated licensed portfolio and proprietary tech suite. To be honest, that seems just like a lot of word vomit to me. I'm not 100% sure what all that means, but I don't know what license they're talking about, where they're out of. Again, I know they're out of Dubai. I don't know what they need, but they follow them, so it's got to be something juicy. Maybe we need them on for another talk. Maybe we need them on for another. And this time, I don't think I will take questions from that Telegram chat and then still have my head on a platter. I will ask my own questions, and whether they have drones over there and whether they believe in aliens, and it'll be a much better interview, I think.
Yeah. I know you were trying to tap into the chat with the Definity Telegram chat and see what questions they had. But what's so interesting when it comes to crypto projects and the average investor is like Windmoon really is the only thing that's on their mind. And it's like, look, when the narrative hits, which is decentralized finance, then I can imagine that Definity runs tremendously. Now, when is that going to be? I don't have a magic wand to tell. So I don't know. But Windmoon, good question.
On these, so you have quite a bit more Devi than I do. Let's say Definity and Omi both stay here, for the next couple months, and you have a whatever Devi does, let's say like 20x in that time by beginning of Q2, give or take. What do you think runs first? Like if it follows last cycle, NFTs won't run until last. It might run end of this year, even early next year. Where TradFi might be a little bit more, or I'm sorry, DeFi might be a little bit more running first. Like how do you split those gains? Do you go into 60% Omi, 40% Definity? Is the split a little bit geared more towards Definity because their market cap is stupid low? What are you thinking?
Depends on where pricing is at on those. So if prices were exactly the same as they are today, I'd probably do 50-50. I think they're both like amazing long-term like hits. And when I say long-term, there's not much left in this. Sometime this year is when usually all the narratives will cycle through. Now, keep in mind that VeVe collectibles ran in January 2022, but Omi actually ran in March of 2021. And so I don't know, but you also see a disconnect between how those like really the collectibles went crazy much later than the token did. And the token actually came back after bouncing down quite a bit at that same time. So in that sense, they did kind of run similar. But we'll have to see how it plays out. I think there's a strong case for the tokens behind digital collectibles going crazy. So that is Flow, that is Chili's, that is Omi going crazy. And I think they will. They did last time too. And I think their tokens go absolutely nuts. Flow went crazy. Chili's went crazy. Omi's token went crazy. Omi outperformed those other ones by a lot. I think Omi outperforms those ones too this cycle. I think Omi is massively undervalued right now. But when is that going to run? I don't have a magic crystal ball to know. Like, I didn't know Devi was going to run to these prices right now. Like this present announcement they're talking about, that isn't even something that came up prior to like 4 months ago. You couldn't have seen that coming, and it's caused this massive candle. Well, that's cool to experience, but a lot of these are like longer term plays that you're buying, and some will run. The reason I diversify so much is because some will run earlier. And what would I do? Well, if Devi did 20x more from here and Definity and Omi are at the same price, well, yeah, I'm going to take some profits out of Devi and I'm going to roll it into Omi and Definity at these prices. Why? Because if I can take 20x and I can roll it into something that, say, does, if I'm blessed, 100x, that is a 2000x. And some might say, oh, yeah, Devi could do a 2000x from here. And it's like, well, not at $1.60. I doubt it. Like from 12 cents, that was possible. But from here, no. Not that it couldn't, but so many things have to come together right that the odds are bad for that. But if it did 20x and I could roll it into Definity and Omi, I think there's scenarios that are easier that they could do 100x from where the prices are today. So I think my probabilities of the overall amount going to 2000x are way, way better if Devi has run up 20x from here and Omi and Definity are still sitting at the same price they're at today. I think my probabilities are better of getting overall 2000x going that route than just straight holding them in Devi, trying to hold them all the way up.
Yeah.
Because like 2000x from here, we're at $1.64. That would be like a $3,300 Devi token. All my community would be so massively rich. Oh my gosh. You know, it would just be like, whose yacht are we going on this week? Yeah.
I mean, I told you I'd kiss you at $200. If that did that, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do if it reached that amount. That'd be
Not anything farther than that. I'm sorry, Randy. Your boobs just aren't cute enough for me. I
yeah, they're
like
too small right
the
now.
female anatomy is just so much prettier than male anatomy.
Are you assuming my gender?
Yeah, I am, outing your gender.
So there's a I'm trying to go through the rest of the news here. What day am I looking at? I've only gone through the stuff that I want to go through Saturday the 11th. I'm going to try to hop on, go turbo here a little bit and take a look at Coach K Crypt. All right, so there was 2 more secret rare Miles Morales that were bought at 9 and 10,000. They were bought by the same person called SOMSAK, Sumsack, I guess. Decent sized wallet, 2,955 collectibles, 162 comics. So looking at about 3,100 collectibles in total. And those 2 were not the only 2 that secret rare Miles Morales that he had. He had 8 others prior to buying these 2. So he's got 10 secret rare Miles Morales. What's wrong with this person? Why throw so why like
I don't think anything's wrong with him. I think he's smart. So I'm not making that play because do I think the Miles Morales will do incredible? I think he'll do incredible. I think he'll outperform Bitcoin. But I don't know that it'll outperform some of the tokens that I'm buying. So I think I'm making a really good play. I think he's also making a really good play. And it's just one that he's comfortable with. So do I think he'll do well? Yeah, 10 Miles Morales' secret rares. I think those collectibles are going to be huge grails in the future, and they'll go for a lot of money. I think you'll see some pretty good numbers. But so if it goes to 100,000, which would be really good appreciation, that's only a 10x. Like for most of the world, that vastly outperformed what their stocks would have done. In the crypto space, we're like, wait, it only did a 10x. What's wrong with it?
All right, so let me ask it a different way. What is different about this person? What mindset do you think this person has now that they have $120,000 worth of Miles Moraleses?
Well, so clearly they have the money to buy that, which means they're probably or suggest that they're really good with their money. See, what's funny is like the wealthy, when you and I talk to wealthy people, Randy, they get crypto faster than anyone. They get like these things faster than anyone. It's actually people that have never had wealth. These concepts about how money works and how investments work confuse them because they haven't taken the time to learn this language near as much. And so the conversations for the wealthy, they understand this concept of things appreciating in value better because they're usually much more familiar with how art has done over time. And so they get it when you have major intellectual property like Marvel and Spider-Man. You have first appearances of Miles Morales and it's a secret rare. They can look down the road and be like, yeah, this digital collectibles thing, I think it's going to happen. And I think these first appearances are going to be a really big deal. So I'm going to go big. And who knows, for them, that might not even be big. For, your average person, $120,000 is 12 times more money than they've ever had in their bank account. But for him, it probably is, an okay size, right? That like, he's just like, yeah, let me throw some of this money into these Miles Morales. I think they'll do well.
Agreed. So one of the things that I have a couple of gems saved up for is the most recent thing that Ben had been teasing. Like sometime last week, posted a picture of a hand with a baby hand, and then it had like a ring on the ring finger. And then he posted a picture of a crown, maybe something that royalty wears or a king. And it would seem that Lord of the Rings has been the big thing that people are hoping that it is. Are you a fan? Have you seen them?
Yeah, the new Lord of the Rings. So maybe it's like Sauron's crown and maybe these different rings for, the humans and the dwarves and stuff. That would be interesting.
I would thoroughly enjoy that. I'm hoping it would be from the Lord of the Rings, not the new stuff, not the Rings of Power on Amazon that has taken a different turn than what I thought it would. But either way, any Lord of the Rings stuff I'd be fine with. I'd be cool with it. That's one of the things. I I don't know. I don't know what else it is. Everyone else, because I've never gotten one. The teeth and the cat was saber tooth. I didn't get that one. The others, I've just never gotten them before. So I think it's Lord of the Rings, but it's probably going to be something else because I've never been right on predicting this stuff.
You know, it'd be an interesting license. You asked me a while ago what license would I love to see on there, and I'd love to see Transformers. I'd love to see Optimus Prime and Megatron, especially the original Megatron that was like the toy that transformed into the pistol.
Yeah.
I had that. That was one of my first Transformers. My parents got it for me for Christmas, and I broke it. Why? Actually, I think one of my siblings helped me break it. I think they broke it. Anyway, but that would be cool. I'm a big fan of Optimus Prime, and Transformers was like loved that toy growing up, and the cartoon series. So that'd be fun, and that you could click on it and it would transform. Oh yeah, augmented reality is perfect for that.
There's many Transformers things that I like. Obviously, the movies with Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, and then Peter Cullen obviously as the voice of Optimus Prime. They've had some new ones with Mark Wahlberg. They had another new one where at the end of it, I don't want to spoil it. There's like this epic crossover that they're gonna do. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, Optimus Prime would be Hasbro in general. Give us the GI Joe, give us the Transformers, give us the My Little Pony. I will take that. There's a Rainbow Dash versus Starscream. Rainbow Dash would win. There's a lot that I would like with that too. I think my favorite one, I don't know, Cliff Jumper is really cool. Ratchet is cool. But yeah, obviously Optimus Prime with the deep Peter Cullen voice, like, whose butt do I kick? Oh my God, so freaking cool.
You know what was interesting? I don't know. Do you remember the car Jazz? He was a Porsche, I think Carrera. And
I don't.
I never saw it in the stores ever. But we were walking through the stores, and I grew up pretty poor. So I talked my mom into buying this cereal box where you could win a Transformer, specifically Jazz. And at the bottom of that box was the winner for Jazz. And I was like, holy cow. So I won a Jazz. So you had to like send it off and they sent it to you. And I was like stoked out of my mind. I never did see those in the stores. But that was like one of my favorites because like I could never find them in the stores. Now I was like in a small town. So like, who knows if like, if you had gone to a really big Toys R Us and they had lots and lots of options, if maybe it had been there, just didn't reach like the small town stores at the time. But yeah, anyway, that was an interesting thing. I totally manifested that. I wanted it so bad. Like, and it was such a big deal to little old me. Like the cereal box was expensive and, for my parents. And it was like, I felt so blessed that she bought the cereal and then it got it out of it. But yeah, so later I saved up my own money and I bought like 3 or 4 of those boxes over a period of like 4 months and thinking I would win again. Didn't happen, but I did win that once. Just hope you got Jazz. Nice.
So, awesome. Just hope.
And Big A, who's the car guy, he knows exactly. It was a 911 Carrera 964. Oh my God. Yeah, he knows all the models. Yeah, Big A is probably going to help me when I go to get some cars.
There's this thought that Duncan Trussell had on the Joe Rogan podcast like a week ago, where he said, like, when you talking about manifesting stuff, you wanted it so badly that you did. I think that's part of the reason why sports teams have like a home field advantage, because you have so many people, like 60, 80,000 people, all like cheering for you, and they're manifesting that energy and wanting the same thing. And I never thought of it like that before. And I was like, that's a really good point. Maybe that stuff does work. Maybe if you wish really hard. I mean, obviously, then you have the stuff where it doesn't make sense because it's like, okay, like Simba going over to like Mufasa after he'd like fallen off this cliff. Clearly, he wants nothing more in the world than his dad to be okay, and it's clearly not. Like he's clearly gone. So obviously, there's some flaws in this logic, but I don't know. I think that every now and then you get lucky. every now and then you want something so bad that it happens.
Yeah. And with manifestation, it's an interesting thing. Like you manifesting something out of a box, does it really come together like that? I don't know that it does, but you can manifest good things into your life because you do attract some good things in your life over time. And the biggest thing that holds us back is up here. And I see that with investing and financial freedom, right? So it's like everyone has an opportunity with crypto. So why is it that some people take it very serious? Like when I came in 2017, even though I'd been investing for 18 years prior to crypto, like I was just new to crypto. It's like drinking from a fire hose. And it was overwhelming. I didn't know how to tell a good project from a bad project. I was listening to all these YouTube channels, trying to get an idea of what was good versus bad. And most of them didn't know what the hell they were talking about because they were brand new in crypto too. They had just started a YouTube channel. And so there's a learning curve there. But I stuck around and kept plugging away at it, even though I invested like 15,000, that became 165,000, and then went all the way down to 3,000. So literally, I lost money because I didn't take profits while I was way ahead because I didn't know anything about the 4-year cycle yet. But I stuck around because I could see what could be possible here. And I see people in crypto wash out all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, they go through the same experience I did, where they come in a little bit late through a bull run. So I came in 2017, a little bit late, was buying in October of 2017, experienced part of the run, didn't take profits, ended up below my position. Instead of sitting there crying about all the projects and how stupid they are and the team suck and then mistake, I really dug into learning and trying to understand so that I could invest better. And, from 2018 through 2020, I put every extra penny I could into crypto, and 2021 changed my life for forever. And I thought, well, it tends to run every 4 years. Why isn't everyone doing this? Why don't other people get it that 2013, 2017, 2021, so far, every 4 years, it's gone crazy. Why wouldn't you buy when it's super cheap? How do you miss this? But it's mindset. They literally will take that money. They will go to the casino or they will go buy lottery tickets, but they will not take the time and dedication it takes to understand this new thing, crypto, so they can buy when it's really inexpensive, so they can then take a really nice gain up. And then they just complain like, oh, it's not possible for me. Well, that's all up here.
I told my friend I had, if he had an updated picture of his long on Devi, and his 20x long was up 316%. Again, obviously, this is pure degeneracy, pure gambling. He is sinning, living in sin, but damn it if he ain't making that money. Also, I told him I chose referral code. I don't even know if anyone can see it, but I did my job, so that is.
If everyone was doing it, we wouldn't be making these gains. This is true. Part of the reason it works is because you're counter trading. Most people do the opposite of this. So they don't even wake up to it till like there's already 20 gains, 20x, 30x, 50x gains on the table. And then they're like, oh my gosh. So then they jump into all the research. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. So then they're throwing in hundreds of thousands of dollars after a 50x has already happened. Oh boy, that is a risky ass position. And surprisingly, it doesn't work out for them. Sometimes it'll go up from there, but then they don't take profits. And then it goes way down below what they bought at. And then they just complain that crypto's a scam and every crypto project sucks. Well, when you do the wrong things, you get bad results. That's true in life. And they're doing the wrong things. They're buying high, hoping it goes higher, and not taking profits if it does go higher. And then they get washed out. It happens all the time. And we're counter trading that. What I found is you can try to inform people and wake most people up, but most won't listen. About 5% gravitate towards this message. Funny enough, it's 5% that do really, really well in crypto.
Agreed. And I've seen crypto right now. It's mostly on X. Every now and then I do see it on TikTok. Now the people that I see talking about on TikTok, straight up talking about like rug pulls. And so it's right now people on TikTok are kind of getting like this negative view of it because anyone who's live talking about it is So I've decided to. It's like, oh, if I'm going to go live on YouTube, I might as well try to go live on TikTok as well. I don't think you can do it congruently with each other at the same time. But I'll just go and just talk about the normal stuff, given a lot of these people just actually legitimate projects that go in, they have revenues, they have doc staff, they have all this. It's mostly just meme coins and rug pulls that I see on TikTok there. Elon Musk is actually in talks to potentially buy TikTok. I think that'd be interesting. I don't know how he connect it to X. If he does connect it to X, maybe everything on TikTok he buys MSNBC and puts it on there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
That would be awesome if he bought it, because the truth is X only does very mediocre on video. Like, it's just not set up for video. You can't easily search history of like videos that people have put out. You have to scroll down through their feed, which could take you for forever. And it's too difficult right now. But if they bought TikTok and could somehow integrate it, and so then you could click on videos, so you just see the videos, and that might be a better way of doing it. That would be cool if he bought TikTok.
Yeah. Anything you want to go over before we bounce? We've been almost at the 2-hour mark here.
Well, those that have been making smart decisions, dollar cost averaging during the bear market, congratulations. Some things might have gone up. A bunch of things haven't yet, but just because they haven't does not mean they're not going to. Many people have lost patience. They're like, yeah, it should have done already. It's like, sure. I mean, like, a lot of people feeling super impatient with Omi. Cool. How's Flow doing? Not very well either. Like, it's just the narrative hasn't hit yet. Patience, yes. Okay, AI has run some. Meme coins have run some. Cool. It's hard to tell what the timing is going to be when things play out. I'm patiently waiting. Like, I diversified across a bunch of different things because I know the narratives don't all run at the same time. So that it makes it easier to be patient because some things run earlier. And there's a lot of things that haven't popped off yet, but they will.
My friend Charlie Durso used to say he was annoyed by people saying, oh, it's going to be hot 5 days from now. It's unbearable. Like, oh, is it going to get snow? It's going to be cold. It's unbearable. And he's like, what's unbearable? It hasn't happened yet. And is that even if it does, will it matter 5 years from now? And the good thing about that quote is, like, we're likely not going to have to wait 5 years. Maybe some of us have already, but all of the good things that are going to happen with crypto, and it seems like there's going to be quite a lot of them, are going to happen within like the next couple months. And by this time next year, I'll have next to no crypto left, most likely. Most likely I've sold out of most of it. Yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. I'll let you know my moves, but it's going to be a different world in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I'll share with people, like, do we know for sure it's going to play out exactly in 4 years cycle? It tends to run a little bit less than a 4-year cycle. So it could be in the coming 2 months that we just go absolutely parabolic. But if it doesn't go absolutely parabolic in the next 2 months, doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means it doesn't happen at exactly the same time every cycle, but it's still likely to happen. In 2025 is likely the year. The odds are really, really high. And I think the odds are fairly decent that it's coming in the next couple months, but we'll see how it plays out. Like, patience. Like, there's a lot of people that sold Axie Infinity at the bottom. A lot of other things, Bitcoin and everything, were pumping, and Axie Infinity, especially the land, wasn't. And so a lot of people sold their land to roll it into something that's interesting, and then Axie Infinity's land went like 3,000x. Sucked for them. They missed out on all that upside so that they can catch like a 2x or 3x on Bitcoin, but they missed the larger gains by not being patient, waiting until their narrative hit. So they thought blockchain gaming would never hit. It never had before. They were wrong.
They were. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Rain, thank you so much for hosting. This was great. Thank you to everyone for all the super chats and the comments. Meow, meow, meow. Yeah, there's somebody coming down with the case of the Mondays. But we're Wednesdays over here. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you.
All right, we'll see y'all.